Okay, we're going to try again now. This is a little Hardage mill that I acquired a few years ago and rebuilt. I had some pictures on Photo Bucket showing the rebuild of it and the before and after, and the machine was in really good shape. It was just nasty, dirty, and cruddy. I disassembled it, took it all apart, last nut and bolt, went through everything, cleaned it up, repainted it, checked everything out, and turned into a nice little machine. I really haven't used it that much, but I had a big Van Norman. I'd sold it and decided I still wanted some kind of little horizontal, so I bought that. And that's been a nice little play toy. Here's my mechanic toolbox. It's full to the brim. This is some pictures of my Grove bandsaw, big vertical 18-inch bandsaw, and a homemade belt sander I built a few years ago. Works real good. Here's some of my sanders and grinders. This is a little Quorum grinder I built a few years ago. All I can say is that's a exercise in futility. It's a neat little grinder, and it'll grind all sorts of stuff, but it's too fiddly to have to use. Occasionally I use it for something, but not very often. And this is my K.O. Lee tool and cutter grinder. I got this from a friend that bought it, and it was basically because I had a little small, super small K.O. Lee that I had redone, and he wanted one, and I helped him with it, and we got it all rebuilt, and it turned out real nice, but I knew he didn't have any tooling for it, nor did he have any use for it. So I sold the one I had and bought this from him, and I built a rotary workhead for it. Let's see if I can get a decent view of it here. Along with that, I built all the tooling that K.O. Lee advertises. It comes with the grinder, and got it all fixed up and running. That's just a cabinet with some of my grinding equipment, grinding tooling in it. My little MIG welder. This is a shot of my K.O. Lee 618 surface grinder. It's what they call a hydraulic mechanical, about 1960 vintage. I'd always wanted a surface grinder over quite a number of years and never run into one, and a buddy of mine found this. He actually found two of them and sold me this one pretty cheap, and I rebuilt it. I knew the history of the grinder. I knew where it came from. I'd actually used it in one of the places I worked at many years ago, quite a bit, and I tore into it, and the grinder had already been rebuilt. It had been re-scraped, so it's almost like a new one. I mean, as far as the way it works. I had to buy a magnet for it, and really haven't used it that much over the years. I've thought a few times about selling it, but then I used it the other day, and I thought, well, maybe I need to keep it. Let's turn it over here and take a view of my workbench, which I don't have much workbench space. My shop is so little. Here's my arbor press. Back of the toolbox for the mill. We'll go over and try to take a look at my Birmingham mill, Chinese clone. Well, it's not Chinese. It's actually made in Taiwan. I had a nice Bridgeport that I had rebuilt, bought back about 1990, 91. And I always just wanted a new mill. So in 95, my buddy wanted a new lathe, and I wanted a new mill. We went down to Houston and I bought this from a dealer down there. It's got power feed on all 3 axes, digital readout. It's a new wall digital readout. I built a air drawbar fixture for the top of it. Here's a toolbox for the mill. This is just all mill tooling. Here's another cabinet here with dividing heads, rotary tables, cutters, boring bars, drill chucks, every possible thing you can need for the mill. I really don't lack for any tooling. Here's a little South Bend lathe I bought brand new in 1980. I had to wait a year to get it. I had a little Atlas. I went to work for a guy that had a little South Bend, and after running it, I just had to have one. It was just so much better than the little 10-inch Atlas. And so I sold mine and thought, well, I'd go buy a South Bend. Little did I know that you got to wait about a year to get one. And I sent the man a deposit, place down in Houston, and then I told him I wanted the next one he got, and about a year later he called me. I finally got it in, and he had about 3 or 4 of them, and that was a brand spanking new lathe with every piece of tooling that South Bend made for it. This is the shelf above it with all the tool bits and chucks and centers and the tool holders. I built a little Loris style holder myself and all the holders, and I don't know how many I got, but there's a whole rack of them. There's my Gerstner boxes, and another cabinet with a big Kennedy on it top. This is all full of tools. Here's a picture of my Acer lathe. For years all I had was the South Bend. I wanted something bigger, and I acquired a 16-inch South Bend and had it in here and rebuilt it, and it just made chips too big. I couldn't handle them. And so I sold it, and I found this lathe brand new in Dallas, Texas, and it's a 13 by 40 Acer, Taiwanese made. But it's a pretty nice machine. It does all I need to do. And it's tooled to the hilt. There's not much I need. It's got a taper attachment that was off a Clausen lathe that I adapted to fit, and works very well. That's my tool rack with all my tool holders on it, and it spins around so that you can reach and get whatever you need. That's just a nut and bolt and all the junk you need in a machine shop shelf. It's got a little bit of everything in there. And this is my Darex end mill sharpener and drill grinder I acquired over the years. There's gauge pins, micrometers, and just extra stuff. And I'm thinking that's about it. I mean, this little building is only 16 by 20, and it is just plumb full.